Hey everybody, welcome to Friday Night Live at 5 with Kats Creations. I want to welcome you into my kitchen, and tonight we're going to be showing you how to put together a lovely rag wreath. I've had so many people ask me how to do them because I've been posting them quite frequently. They're really popular right now with a lot of the farmhouse looks, and besides using them as a wreath, you can use them as candle holders, centerpiece. You can also use them as a cake plates, and I'll show you how we're going to be able to incorporate all those different looks. So when you make your own and you put your listings up on either Facebook or Etsy to sell, or if you take them to a craft show, make sure you take some accessories with you in order to be able to showcase that they're not just a wreath on their front door. They can also use them for a wide variety of other uses. So before I get started, we have our Mevo back. It's been in repair for, I want to say, what, 5 weeks?
Yeah, over
something like that. It's been crazy. So we have our Mevo back, so now we should be back to, what is it, 720 HD.
Yeah.
So we're good, and hopefully it will remedy any audio problems that people were saying that they're still experiencing. So we should be good to go. So everything good on your end? Do you have people joining us?
Everything's good on my end. We got about 50 on so far. Hi,
Wow.
gals, just joining. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So I know you guys are super excited, so I'm going to show you 3 different techniques that you can use, and I'm going to start with the most basic method first. And I promised all of you that were emailing me and asking me what are the lengths of your materials, how much stuff should I have, and I'm like, well, it would depend on your wreath, it would depend on how thick you want it, it depends on how wide your strips are, so it's completely up to your discretion. But we're going to start with the easiest wreath tonight, and it's the one, believe it or not, that's on the door. That's actually the easiest one to complete. It does take 6 yards of fabric. It does take a lot, and in order to have it be this fluffy and this full, this is the desired look. So if you're going to purchase fabric, make sure that you're not spending like $7 a yard for your fabric. But the great thing is, aside from your wreath frame, and if you're going to put a bow or a sign on it, that's your materials cost right there. So this is what I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make first, and then I'm going to show you guys how to make the heart, and then also it's kind of like a basket weave one. So let me start with how to prep your materials. So I'm using dollar store wreaths. There's no point in doing it on a work wreath frame because it's not going to have the desired effect. You need something with rails on it, preferably rails that are domed, not necessarily the ones that are flat. So if you go with like a 16 or an 18, you're going to get wider or bigger diameter, but it's also going to be flat. And if you want it to have that domed full look, you want something with a domed look. So the dollar store or Dollar Tree 14-inch wreath frames work perfect. If you don't have a Dollar Tree by you, you can order them online. They come 24 to a case, and I think we found out last year that you can actually order less than a case. So keep that in mind. They're really inexpensive, overspending $6 for a work wreath, which won't work anyway. So we're gonna start with this, and then you have your choice of 2 different looks. Now when I'm doing my rag wreaths, I want them to look frayed. I don't want them to look like perfect little strips on my wreath. I want it to look rustic. I mean, that's the whole point in creating a rag wreath, is you want it to look like somebody made it from rags. So you can cut them into strips, but I'm going to show you the simple stress-free way of creating your rag strips. But before I start, do you guys have any questions?
We'll give them a couple seconds to type them in.
Okay. Well, I start prepping. So I know some of you will do it with a rotary cutter and you'll cut it really nice, or you'll use your pinking shears so you don't have the fray. those are options you have, but it's a rag wreath. It's supposed to have rags, like frays, strings, yeah. So this is how I purchased my muslin. So it's very affordable. I guess fabric quantity will also be based on how thick your how it is when it's folded, because there's some that go really long and then there's some that are pretty short. This is, and it doesn't say.
Yeah, that's a shorter bolt.
Yeah, it's a very short one. I think I can only get like 4 strips on this one. So this is 1919. It's 36 doubled, so it's 36 long, obviously folded in half. So what I do, sorry, I'm trying to remember, is I will measure out my strips need to be, there it is. Had to find where the opening is, because you want to do it, you want to cut it on the open side. Your strips need to be 1.5 inches in diameter. So what I do is I measure out my 1.5 inches, and I take my scissors and I just kind of create a beginning. And then this is where, like, when you get going, I put little slits in them all 1.5 inches long, and then just go through and tear everything into the lengths that I want. So in this case, this is where you're gonna save yourself an awful lot of time. And you would just cut these out again, 1.5 inches, and just tear them. And then you're good. So that should be the short and simple of how you create your fabric strips for your rag wreaths. And then the simple thing is to take it where it's open, and you're going to measure, we are doing 8-inch strips. So you come right up to your 8-inch line. While it's still folded, you're able to cut 2 at the same time. So I'm always looking for ways to reduce how long it's going to take me. There's my other set. And if I open this, I think it's about 5. Yeah, so this just becomes disposable. So on a 36 wide bolt, you're only going to get 4 strips for every 1.5 inch rag strip that you're cutting. But you'll basically get a whole pile of them. This is what I do. I will sit here and cut my 6 yards of fabric. You'll have a big giant pile of your fabric strips, and if you want to alternate colors, you can alternate colors that way. But I think for the wedding kind of theme and for the farmhouse look, doing something in an ivory is really nice. It's very versatile. You can change out the bows as you change out the seasons, so it creates some duality in your wreaths.
Amanda said hi from Oklahoma. I've been wanting to see how these rag wreaths are made. Thanks for sharing your talent.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Amanda.
My question, because I don't know,
okay,
is I think there's only one, it's like going with the grain, right? There's only one way to tear it that'll tear.
There's only one way to tear it. So if you're not sure, and you know, they always say, I think you're supposed to cut on the bias strip, but sometimes when they cut out your fabric at Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby, they might fold it funky, and then you're not sure. The way to tell is cut your 1.5 inch strip and tear it. If it does not tear perfectly 1.5 inches wide, you need to cut the other way and then tear it that way. You'll have to refold it and do it the other way. So that will help you in that endeavor. So once you get your fabric strips all cut, this is where you find your favorite show on Netflix or anybody else or anything else, favorite movie, you know, grab something, a soft drink, sit down on the couch, grab your wreath frame, and then you can kind of watch and tie at the same time. So for this one, it's super simple. All you're going to do is take your fabric strips, you're going to start on the outside, the outermost rail, and let me get rid of this, and you're just going to tie just like so, and you're going to make sure it's nice and tight. You don't have to tie it in a full knot, so just knot it once, and trust me, I've actually made a mistake when I was fixing colors or sizes, and trying to pull this apart and undo it is very difficult to do. So really all you're going to do is take these and you're going to tie them side by side, and I think you can get, if you're doing them 1.5 inches wide, 8-inch long strips, you should get, I want to say 24 to 26 strips knotted in each section. So you'll go all the way around the outer side, all the way around. Don't do them section by section because it gets too hard that way. So go outside, then the second rail, then the third rail, and then the fourth rail until you have everything you want super, super thick. So do you guys have any questions at all? And when you're doing it on this particular type, as you're putting your knots through, you want to push them. So count them. I mean, I've got 4 on here now. If I had 24, you know, just keep pushing them down to see, can I fit another one in there? Because that's what gives you that thick, full look of your rag wreath by doing it this way. So
Linda said maybe you can show them how to do a rag bow someday.
Yes, I think everyone's been asking, here's your trademark term. Shabby chic is actually a trademark term. So be wary of using that term when you're listing your wreaths. Do not use shabby chic. Use shabby rustic, shabby farmhouse. And I don't know why, but if you go to the US trademark website, you can type in the word shabby chic and find out that it is an actual trademark term. So you just don't want to have, you know, a cease and desist letter come to you from either that company or from Etsy saying, hey, you need to change your listings, you need to take it down. So
Linda, it looks like Linda Ryan said hi from West Virginia. First time watching you.
Oh, thanks for joining us,
Linda.
Linda.
Thanks for joining, and thanks for all the gals for just joining.
I'm going to try to see if I can create a fully.
And Maureen said I like the frayed look.
Yes, I love the frayed look. And you can clean it up. You know, if it's starting to, like, at the very, very edge, you have some really long strings just kind of hanging off, go ahead and snip those and trim those off. But that's the idea of having that rustic look. This is the easiest method to do, and anyone who can just tie your basic knot can go through and create this look.
Lynn asked, are you using cotton fabric?
This is cotton fabric.
Muslin, it's a cotton fabric.
Yeah. It's, I think this was actually used for a quilt backing, like something that you would purchase to do the back of a quilt on. So I just like it because it's, I don't know, it looks rustic, it looks kind of older. You could do them, I'd be wary about doing it in a burlap, like a true burlap, because this is where you get those frays where if you inhale it, you can have adverse health effects with your lungs by breathing in the burlap fabric. So just a little caution, if you're going to do burlap, make sure you wear a dust mask so that you're not inhaling those fibers. So
Abigail's welcoming Linda to the
join in our group.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then, Christy said this looks so much easier and better than the old school where poke and rag into the wreath with a pencil tip.
Oh, I've seen those ones.
And he says, I've never used this wreath base like that. I love this. What is the base type called?
This base type here, just the Dollar Tree wire wreath frame. So just go to any Dollar Tree. If you don't have a Dollar Tree where you live, just go online, dollartree.com, and type in 14-inch wire wreath frame, and you'll pull these up. These are only $1. So if you think about it, if you can get your fabric on sale using coupons or whatever and get your fabric costs down, aside from $1 for your wreath frame and your fabric, and then maybe, I don't know, trying to think about how long my bows are using fabric, maybe a yard of fabric for my bows, and that's it. I mean, it creates a gorgeous look that you guys are seeing behind me on the door. So you can use it as a wreath on the door. Makes for a great wedding look. People that are doing the rustic farmhouse wedding, that would benefit them.
Right. And Jean asks, is it called muslin material at the store? And there's a couple already that chime in. It's called muslin with an N.
Yes, with an N, not with an M.
Yep.
So, yeah. So,
And then typically the muslin, it's actually a cheaper material because it's just a really base cotton.
Yes.
Typically
so
it's only like $4 or $5
I think you probably get it less than that. It just depends on where you go and if you can, you know, apply a 40% coupon or 60% all, you know, 60% off all of our, you know, cotton linen fabrics. The key for making any cotton or any rag wreath is the softer your fabric, the nicer it's going to be to tie any of these methods on. If you get something that's a little thicker, a little stiffer, like a canvas type, it's going to be really challenging to kind of knot that and get it tight enough to give you the look that you want. Plus, when you know you're finished, and I'm always, you know, people are like, oh, it looks so fluffy and full. It is, and you tell the customers, you know, they could pack it for storage until whatever, you know, season they want to pull it out. But to fluff it, this is all they do. They just take it and, you know, they fluff all their material up. And then you can either do it like this, have your wreath on your front door, or this is what I showed Steve earlier, because it's always about multi-purpose. I just use a wood slice to create the height. And then you can do this with your bow. You can have a really gorgeous, you know, hurricane lamp. You can make these as centerpieces for a wedding and keep them very affordable. You could also.
Marie asked, how many yards of fabric do you need for the wreath like this?
To do this one is 6 yards.
6
to get
yards.
It all the way through. Yeah, because it's so thick and so dense. The other ones aren't, and you'll understand why. This one's a little bit thicker, I think, I'm looking 4.5 inches maybe, but see what I'm saying? You can use this as a centerpiece for a cake plate, you know, change out the ribbon, take the ribbon off, do whatever you want. But if you can show this when you're taking your photos, customers can see, you know, what else I can use this for. Oh, that would be really pretty at, you know, Christmas, or
And then Jean asked, is there a pattern on the material or not?
No.
No, but you can make it with pattern on it.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys can see, it's just your regular thin cotton fabric.
Yep.
So it's just plain ivory. So you have all your strips. Like I said, I sat and I watched an entire season over the weekend, and I think I made 4 of them. So I just cut all my fabric, and you just take your bunches and you set it next to you, and you just start tying and go all the way around, and then go to your next row, and then go to your next row. And then what you're going to do is, as it starts to get thick, you'll flip it over, and let me show you on this one. When you flip it over, you pull the edge. The ends kind of have a tendency of folding in, but you pull the outer pieces away.
And you said that the measurement is 1.5 by 8?
Inch and a half wide, and then 8 inches long.
Okay.
It just gives you enough to create, you know, the full fluffy look.
So there you go, and it's 1.5 by 8 inches.
Mm-hmm. And then what you're going to want to do is, as you're tying, sometimes your ties, like this one is from the second rail, and it's kind of stuck in here where it should be out on the other side. All you're going to do is just poke it through to the other side. So you just want to make sure you have your 4 rows of knots, and you don't have any extra pieces sticking from the other side to this side. You should just see knots. So this is your outer, and then this is your inner rails. So this is what it looks like from the back.
Melinda said muslin is really inexpensive. Yep.
It is.
She said, I made Christmas garland for my Christmas tree like this, but tied it on jute string.
Exactly.
I love the wreath, and we'll be making one. Thanks, Kat.
There's another idea, right? Because we did this last Christmas. You can easily go buy, I don't know, a 50 light strand of Christmas lights, and you can take your muslin strips or your calico fabric or Christmas plaid fabric, and what you do is you tie it onto the wires in between the light strands, and then you have a lighted garland. So You know, if you go to the dollar store and buy a set of lights, 25 lights, maybe for a fireplace mantle and you want garland, you can do the same process for that to make a rag garland. It's exactly the same. You just tie in between the lights right onto the wire.
I said, love the way it turned out. Then it said, love the fullness of this wreath. And then
Vi
asked, did you do just 2 rails?
No,
you did all
this
4.
one is all 4. So you can see I have all 4 in here. So there's my innermost. Yep. Here is my second. The third's kind of poking in here, and then my outer rail here. So I did all 4. So it will take you, depends on how quickly you tie. Depends on if you're paying attention to knotting or you're paying attention to what's on TV. It shouldn't take you that long at all to complete this look. And then to tie your bow on, you're just going to go, let me show you. Let me pull these out so you can see where I've tied it, because I haven't cut it off. But let me show you. What you're going to want to do is you're going to poke it through your rails on your second and your third, and you're just going to tie your bow on. And then you'll twist this, and then if you're happy with the look of your bow, snip it, and then you're good to go. But I just did a simple hand bow for this, keeping it wedding look with the it's kind of like an off-white and gold, and just kind of did a hand tied bow, and voila, we're done. What do you guys think? I think I had it.
Yeah, a lot of them say they love it. It looks beautiful.
I think I had it like this.
And then Barbara said you can dye the material if you want another color as well.
That's what somebody was saying. They can spray paint it with a fabric dye.
Or you can even soak it in tea if you really want an aged look.
That's true. You could, and then let it dry. But as you can see, you just tie on every single knot, and then you'll want to make sure that all of your fabric ties are facing the outside. So you'll just kind of keep going. But start outside, go the outside, then do the second one, then do the third one, and then finish off with your middle, and you're good. And then you guys will be like me, and you'll just have fun playing with how fluffy it is.
And Pam was joining late, so I don't know if it was asked, but the material doesn't fray. It does fray. You actually tear it.
Yes, because we're tearing it to create that rag look. I don't really, I mean, you could do it with pinking shears. There's some people who don't like the little frayed look, but I've had 2 that have lasted outside using them in between seasonal changes, and they're still fine. You know, you're not doing anything to them other than fluffing them up, and then you put them on the door and you're good. So anything else you guys have, and I'll show you the next 2 methods.
A lot of gals are saying love it, and then a couple asked questions, and a couple in the group already answered it.
Okay.
Like how many yards? 6 yards.
Yeah, 6 yards of fabric cut at 1.5 inches wide, 8 inches long. That just gives you enough to tie just that single, I don't even call it a knot, it's just you're just tying it once. It's just to tie the material on. And once you get them all bunched together, you don't have to worry about them coming undone. Trust me, they won't come undone very easily at all.
Thank you, Cheryl. She said, I think you're amazing, so gifted, so talented.
Well, thank you. I
Sharon
appreciate
said the
that.
older, the better for her. Like the older that looks.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm like thinking, you know, grandma's attic that she had way back when. Here's even a really good idea, and this is where people are also repurposing. If you had old military uniforms, old police uniforms, a father or a mom who passed away and you want to remember them some way, create a rag wreath out of something that was, you know, something that they used to wear. This is where you see this look where people have done it with military uniforms, and then they put the patches that had the name on them down on the bottom. So that's the look that they have been able to achieve by doing that thing. So those are great, what do you call it? Memorial type of wreaths that you can make out of old stuff. My daughter's asking me to do one out of her wedding dress. So, because she knows that by the time she has kids, I mean, she'll save a piece of the wedding dress, but most daughters, by the time they get married, don't want whatever style mom had. So if you wanted to, you could take a wedding dress, strip it all down, pull the lace out, pull some beading out, and then create a really nice wedding wreath.
Linda asked, how do you make a rag bow? But we could maybe say this for the next video.
We are.
Yeah.
It's going to be just a totally separate tutorial for that. So we're just talking the 3 different rag wreaths. So.
And Joy Reed is on. Hi, Joy. She said, hi, everyone. I'm late. I have my grandbabies. Looking forward to this.
Oh, very cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you did this weekend. Joy's really the only person that knows. Yesterday, my oldest daughter, Caitlin, who lives up in Modesto, the one that we've been out there helping, someone attempted to break into her house yesterday while she was home. And fortunately, she was able to close the door and prevent them from breaking into the house while she called the police. And Joy, from the bottom of my heart, was nice enough to go and sit with her until she calmed down. And our oldest kids are up there right now installing security gates and security alarms for her. So,
and Joy literally lives like 9 minutes away.
Yeah, I think something like, yeah, she says she lives like 10 minutes away. So I was like, I really need your help. You know, you're stuck down here 5 hours away. It's nighttime. You want to be there, but obviously you can't. So you have my undying gratitude, and I want to thank you personally.
Yeah. And Bobby said hi. She said, I think I need to make a wreath like this. This might be a good one for me to do. Yeah,
it's great because you can do it sitting down, and there's not a lot of technique to it.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get started on the next one, which is the second easiest one. So it's going to be this one. Is this right?
Same material?
No, it's not. Okay. I have them listed 1, 2, and 3. So it's actually going to be this one. So this one's perfect for storm doors because it's a lot thinner. It still has the thickness, the fluffiness to it, but not as big, not as thick. So this is perfect for people who want that look, but maybe take it down a couple notches. So this is the second easiest one to make, and I'm going to show you how to do it on the opposite side here. And this one, because you already have gotten used to the techniques on this one you're still going to, you pull that off, let me just double check my measurements, 1.5 inch wide strips, but this one you need 9 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my muslin to 9 inches for this one. So let me make sure I have a couple.
Alana saying, Joy, you're an angel.
She was.
For stopping.
This is why I'm so grateful for our community of people, because we're not just people tuning in to make wreaths. You know, we're building a community to help one another out.
And then Mary said you were in Modesto. That's where our oldest daughter lives. She said, Lord, that's awful. Mary says she lives 20 minutes there. So maybe Mary and Joy can get together. So we're going to be making a trip up to Modesto shortly, and we'll get together and we'll have like a mini wreath making thing at Caitlin's house. So if Caitlin's watching, we're going to need your house so we can make a wreath and do a live. Okay, so the next one, we're doing 1.5 inch wide strips, 9 inches long. And this one actually makes a really cool pattern on the back of the wreath. And let me show you what the back looks like. I don't know if you can zoom in. Yeah. It almost looks like a basket weave. Yeah, it's pretty. I like the back.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you how we're going to go about doing this one. And this one only requires 2 yards of fabric. So you can mix and match. I had just fabric that was laying around, so I just pulled them all and started cutting them up, and I'm like, oh, I need to start prepping for our live. You're still going to use your round 14-inch wreath frame. This one you don't have to have a dome, so if you want to go bigger with an 18-inch or something that's more flat, you can feel free to do that. You'll need something that has at least 4 rails though. So you have, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be tying your outer 2, then you're going to be tying the inner 2, and then the innermost 2. So the inside, and then in one, the middles, and then outer plus an in. So I'm going to show you what we're doing. So you're going to do the same thing.
So there's going to be kind of a pattern to it, right?
Right. So when you're tying on you're going to start at the bottom and you're actually tying 2 together.
I'll go ahead and kind of zoom in so they can see it.
This is why you need them much longer, because this one you are going to tie an actual knot. Now, be careful with the wire wreath forms. You don't want to tie it so tight that you bust the welds off your inner frame. Yeah. And a good thing to be cautious about when you're at the Dollar Tree wreath store, just if you're buying your wire wreath frames, just go around really lightly and just test it to make sure you don't have a loose weld somewhere. Because if you have a loose weld, well then all your strips will either run around the bottom, or if your wire is off the bottom, they'll just kind of continue to feed off the floor. So don't tie overly tight, but you're going to tie from the outer one to the inner one, and you're going to tie it into a full and complete knot, like so. So there's the first one. The second one, you're going to grab the 2 middle ones together, and you're going to tie that in a knot. Just like so, and you're going to slide it to the side. And then you're going to tie the middle to the inner one, a full knot again, just like so. And then you're going to slide it to the side. And then all you're going to do is repeat the process.
Rinse, rather than repeat.
Yeah. You're going to repeat the process until you can't possibly stuff any more in. And I believe when I calculated this yesterday, I think I had 22 that I was able to get inside each section. So, is that right? Yeah. Is that right? Let me double check. This is funny, because you just go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, oh, 33. Sorry, 33 in each section. So if you calculate it, what is that, 33 times 6? Can't do the math in my head. 8, carry the 1, like 198?
190 something, yeah.
I think it's 198. So you need 198 strips. So that's what I did, is I actually sat here and built, like when I did this one, I took 36 and I had 36 of each color in random piles. So I had like section 1, section 2, section 3. I made sure that when I cut it, I had enough, and then turned on my Netflix show, sat down on the couch, and just proceeded to continue to tie over and over and over again. Now, if you're doing a pattern, and I've done this before, because you get so caught up in your show, you're not paying attention, you just grab the wrong color. If it's the wrong color, it's a pain to untie these. You don't really want to cut it, because what if you're like right down to the wire of exactly how much you need? All you need to do is just move your section over and then rework it until you get to the pattern where you were before. So I had to be like, I had to do 3 rows before I got to the right color combination, and then I just was like, oh, that's cool, that section's done, move it over. And then you just keep going, and again, you want to make sure that you're pulling your fabric pieces to the outside, and then you're going to smush them all together. So between 33, 36, it just depends on how thick your material is. And this is where I was saying, this is a very thick fabric. It's not as pliable as like some of the cottons. So this was a little harder for me to knot. When I did the Valentine's Day one, the white and polka dot fabric was very thick. So feel your fabric if you're going out to make one, and make sure you grab something that's a little bit softer over something that's a little more heavier weight, because when you go to tie something like this, and I think these are even cut too, these are 7-inch, but when it comes to tying them, it's really, really difficult because the fabric, keep in mind these are 2 inches too thin or short. It's really hard to get it to do anything. So I prefer the softer fabric when you're making your rag wreaths over the thicker, heavier. So what questions
do you guys? So you gotta make sure that this one is 1.5 by 9 inches.
Yes, and the reason why is because you have to tie those full knots because you're gonna have less per section overall. Like the other one was like, I think it's 24, then it was like 22, then 20, and then 18. So you have a lot more density, but this one just creates that awesome basket weave on the back. And then again, to add your bow, you're just gonna pop it through your rails because it's super simple. You can just move them to the side and pull your pipe cleaner through. And then you have the same look. You know, display it with your candle holder. Show them that they can use it as a candle holder, cake plate, anything you want really. But this was just a different one, so it's pretty simple. And then don't forget your pattern. You have to keep the pattern consistent. Bottom, middle, top, bottom, middle, top. Again, if you miss it and you tied wrong, slide that one over until you get to the bottom one again, and then keep your pattern going and just pack them in. So
that's good. Looks like Joy and Mary are going to try to meet up. So that's awesome.
I'm super happy for you guys.
Jean said, just a side note, Dollar Tree has new spring and Easter floral getting put out for everybody.
Awesome.
And then Jean also asked how many colors in your blue pattern. I think there's 4.
I have 4.
Colors, right? 4.
Yeah, I went with 4. And I only went with 4 because when I was doing the heart for Valentine's Day, I had done a 4. And so when I was pulling these fabrics out of my bag, I was like, oh, that's pretty. Oh, that looks good with that. And then I was like, okay, this is getting a little too soft. And then just keep pulling it in. I liked the way these colors kind of played off each other. So they looked really cool together. So these are all cut to 7. So these are for our last one, the most challenging one. And of course I used thick fabric for it.
That'd be awesome. Joyce said your wreaths are fabulous. I have the army uniforms that her son used to wear.
Oh, and awesome.
That would be looking forward to using that technique. That'd be cool.
Rip. Rip. That's all they're doing. So you can do something like that and then just keep that memory of a time. You know, you could do it with anything. Like I said, Caitlin asked me, she's like, can you take my wedding dress and, you know, slice up my wedding dress and make it into a wreath? And the answer is yes, as long as I can get, you know, if she wants that, I need at least 6 yards. If it's this, I only need 2 yards. And then for the other one, when I did the heart one, it's 1 yard of each color, so it's a grand total of 4. So it just depends. 2 yards, 6 yards, and then the other one's going to be 4. So
Dawn said she wants to teach this to her church group about on an 8-inch smaller frame.
Yes, you can.
And then Karen asked, what would you end up charging for these?
Okay, this one, just because it's fairly basic, 55 is what I've been able to sell mine at. You can add, you know, a sign or anything else you want, embellishments. The more you add to it, then you're going to have to adjust your price accordingly. If you scroll through Etsy right now and you type in rag wreath of any kind, you're going to get prices from, I'm going to say like the lows on the 40 side, but it almost looks like somebody did their wreath with like a 3 rail form, so it's not as thick. You can look at it and go, okay, this is meaty, the other's kind of thin, so charge accordingly. The other 2 I'm going to show you, I'm charging 50 for both of those.
And then Patty asked, are these regular knots?
Yes, just your regular tie and tie. Yeah. You can probably do the square knot if you want, which is tie one way and then tie the other. Either way will work. You just want to make sure, because these are not as compacted as our regular ones, these would have a tendency, if you just tied them, I don't even think one of these is sufficient enough. I think it's 7 still. These would have a tendency, if you just did the single, to pull off, because you're not going to be packing them as tightly as you would if you were tying them all on a single rail, if that makes sense. So that's why we tie them in an actual knot, go a little bit longer so that you still have the fullness of that one, but not quite as full. This one's more flat. This is more suited for your storm doors.
Yeah.
So
you can hold it flat, but you can kind of see how flat it is.
Yeah,
like
look.
this way.
Hold on a sec. Let me just move all that stuff.
I just meant camera height. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, pretty thin.
Yep.
The bow just makes it a little bit thicker.
Yeah. Jayla, I said, just got home and hit 3 dollar stores and loaded up. She said, you're right, to Jean. So,
yeah.
they put the floral out.
That's, you know, if you can keep your costs low, then you can keep your prices low, and customers love it if they walk into think of your Etsy shop as an actual shop. It's an online shop. The greater diversity you have in prices, the greater your customer base is going to be. You're going to have, customer might, you know, want something like this, but they don't have the budget for that. Just make sure that you have stuff like when we did the plastic tablecloth wreaths. That entry price point I think was like $40 or $45 and had no problem selling it. But it's the texture, it's what it looks like by the time you're done, and it does take a lot. Like sitting here and cutting or tearing all of your strips is going to take you about an hour, hour and a half. Just depends on like how long your fabric is and how many strips you're having to cut. And are you doing a full one? Are you doing this is what I call the basket weave, or are you going to do what I call the loop and swoop one? So it just depends. And
then Janet said, could I use cotton sheets?
Yes, you can. Anything.
Yeah.
So there's another way to look at, you know, go to the Goodwill, go to the Salvation Army, look at, you know, some things that you might not normally think of to make a wreath out of, and you guys can turn out some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I think Sharon said earlier she would go to the Salvation Army and try to find material.
Yeah,
material. Yeah,
absolutely. Or anywhere that, you know, if you're going to a yard sale and, so, you know, a quilter is getting rid of all their excess inventory and they're selling lots of fabric, go pick it up. That's free inventory for you to create rag wreaths.
Hi Jane, good to see you on here again. She said hi from Australia, liked and shared.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Feel free to share this page onto your
It does make it easier to find it when you guys are like, oh, how did she have that video? You can always go to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/C for channel, and then /KatsCreations777. You can find all my videos for all of my Friday Night Lives. It's a little easier than looking for them on my page, but if you share them, it makes it easier for you to find them because you just go to your video tab and there you go. There's all your videos.
And then Jean asked about does back of blue print material have a lighter or no color on the back side?
It does. So, and I know exactly what she's saying. It's great if you can find a fabric that looks like it's printed on both sides, because I don't know if you guys can kind of tell, like this fabric here is a little darker, but then on the back side there's no print, but it's still that light blue. Yeah. And that's why I went for an option to go with something with pattern on them, so that I don't have to worry about, is that the wrong side of the pattern or fabric facing them. So it's just a mix of light blue, dark blue pattern, white, so be it. Yep. So and that's the reason why.
Pam asked on the wreath frame 16 or 18, and Sharon already answered her, it's 14 inches.
Yep. I think Dollar Tree holds the patent on 14-inch wreath frames because I don't see them anywhere else. Yeah. Just at Dollar Tree. Okay, so we're on our last method. This is the one I call loop and swoop, and I'm sure someone's going to have a different name for it, but it's really, this is probably, it will be the hardest out of the rag wreaths because everything else is just tying. So this one you will need 4 yards of fabric cut to 1.5 inch strips, 7 inches long. So that's why I have all these, because these were all my leftovers when I finished them. I'm just making sure. So this is what I had my blue one to do this heart-shaped wreath. So I'm going to show you what this one looks like. This one only has 3 rails. So this is really super thin. I mean, if you lay it flat, maybe 2.5 inches, maybe at the fullest, depending on if you fluff them up, maybe 3. But these are the ones where you guys saw the ones that I did for Valentine's Day. This is my Valentine's Day wreath. Yep. This is perfect because it's wedding, anniversary, anything. You could even do this with, you know, the army uniform, the police officer's uniform, and kind of keep it in a perpetual heart. So, and then just add your bow.
So Jean asked, how much did you charge for the ivory rag wreath, the back behind you? Was that 55 behind you?
This one's 55, and then these two are 50. So it just depends what the preference is. Yeah. Yep. So different technique, you know, you have to count for the number of, you know, hours that it's going to take for you to cut the material, to tie everything together, and then, you know, do your last minute finishing touches.
So the heart ones are 1.5 by 7 inches.
Yes. Okay. And you will need 4 yards of fabric for this one.
And Barbara, yes, you can use old t-shirts.
Yeah, it just create a totally different look on your thing.
Hi Brenda.
That'll be a good thing for, you can even use your old child's clothes as you're growing up. So if you're a mom and you have a ton of your baby's clothes and you want to hold on to that memory. A
bunch of old pair of jeans you can't fit into anymore.
Go to the dollar store, get a heart-shaped wreath. They have these available at Valentine's Day. These are 3. So these are why we don't do the basket weave on these, because basket weave would look really dumb with just 2. And then you probably could do the tie on every single one, but because the gaps, I don't know if you guys can see this, the gaps on this one are much wider than this one. So if you were tying singular knots on here and on here, you might have an awful lot of gap in between. So you might start to see that light go through. It's
kind of hard for them to see just because it's black behind you. The lighter side of the mat would be better. Yeah.
Like this.
Right.
There you go. So this one only has 3 rails.
Right.
So you can't do the weave. You can try to do the knotted one, but I think the gap between this one versus this one, they're much wider. Right. So this is why we do this technique on the heart-shaped ones. So let me show you how to do this. So again, 1.5 inches and 7 inches long. And I'm going to do this one with colored fabric so you guys can actually see. I'm going to make sure.
So was the blue wreath the one that only needed 2 yards?
This one only needs 2.
Gotcha.
Because there's only 33 per.
Right.
We said what, 198 strips.
Right.
The other ones, if you do the math, God,
double that.
I'd have to sit and do that 24 times 6, and then 22 times 6, and then 20 times 6, and then 18, give or take how tight you're tying your knots. So it's going to take quite a bit of fabric. So make sure if you're doing the full one, you go with a cheaper fabric, because 6 yards is a lot of fabric to have.
Hi guys, just joining on. Faye asked, how do you make the bow on the cream one? It's just a regular ribbon bow.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do it, because we're going to do it on, I actually made the blue, I had all the blue fabric left over. So I was like, let me just start it together on a heart-shaped wreath form. So I'm going to show you how you can just do a hand bow really quick and tie it on.
And the heart shape is also from Dollar Tree.
Yes, this is Dollar Tree. So, loop and swoop. What you're going to do is you're going to take your fabric, you're going to kind of fold it in half just so that you can make a little U shape with it. And then what you're going to do is, starting on the outside, I always start on the outside and work your way in, because the way that this one is it's going to lay layers on top of layers. So as you can see on this one, this is my top layer, here's my middle layer, and then here's the outer rim. So they're just going to lay on top of each other to create that look, and then keep your heart shape intact without losing that form with so much stuff on it. So we're making our little U shape, and then when you go to put it on your rail, you're going to kind of, this is what I do, I put my fingers in the middle like this. Are you zooming in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Steve's going to zoom in. I put my fingers in the middle, and then I'm going to hand myself the other 2 ends, and I'm going to pull them through the middle of that loop, and then just kind of tighten it on.
And push it down.
And push it down.
But you have to be consistent on the same way you do pulling the loops through every time.
What do you mean?
Because you could go the other way, but it looks different.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're doing it this way.
Right. So the loop is on the inside, and you're pulling the outside fabric in through.
Right. Just like this. And then sometimes I just kind of pull one side and then the other to make sure that they both are reasonably the same length. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's a rag wreath. So you're just going to keep going all the way through, just folding them in half. And then by folding them in half, it kind of takes that wrong side color and keeps it to the back or to the middle of our fabric, so that we're seeing those solid colors instead of the back side of the fabric. So that's why we do that. And then here's the last one. So I did a pattern of 4 different, so it's the same thing. Cut all your pieces, sit down.
Yep, so these are cut 1.5 inches by 7.
Yes. So that's all you're doing. And you're going all the way around outside, then the middle, and then the interior. Now keep in mind when you're doing them, they're gonna flip all different kinds of, you know, which ways. And here's another thing. Wow. Okay. When you go to do your loop, when you're ready to get onto your second, don't pick the same pattern that you picked on the bottom. Mix it up, like start with this color here so that you don't have rows of the same color as you go through. So I'm just going to pick my end.
Yeah, there's a lot of cotton material, little sprays all over the place.
And you're just pulling it down. And then as you can see, by the time, let me get the white one.
Finally, Gal said, thank you for sharing this, all your knowledge. Brenda said you're the best teacher.
Thank you.
Libby said, does it matter if the material has a pattern?
No.
No, it does not.
No, because I did it on this one, which has no pattern. And I did it with the blue that actually has a pattern. And when I did it for Valentine's Day, I just did Valentine's Day pattern, you know, because it looked really good. So as you can see, they just kind of lay one on top of the other. And if they fold down, just flip them to the outside and then fold them down, and then fold them down as you keep going all the way around. So you guys got the loop and swoop method down pat?
Yeah, I think so. And then Gina said, can you use this method on the round wreath too?
Yes, you can. I just didn't do it on the round one. It's just gonna lay, it's gonna be way more flat. So if you picture it on, let's see if this will.
And it won't be as full on the inside.
Yeah, let me do it. Let me pick this section. Let me cut this one off. And we'll see. This is that really thick fabric. So let's see what it kind of looks like. Let's do like 4 on each and see what it looks like. I haven't done it, so we shall see what it looks like.
Bye, Karen, no problem. She said, gotta go, but I shared so I can watch later.
Awesome.
Sue English said they're all beautiful. Can't wait to make the heart wreath.
Okay.
And then Gail said, is there a special specific direction to cut and tear your fabric? Yes.
Yes. So you should be cutting it along the bias strip. So a lot of times people don't know what that is. And sometimes, depending upon how you're purchasing your fabric, you don't know how they have laid it. Generally, it's supposed to be, what I find is where they have folded it. Sometimes there's a white line that generally might be your bias strip. Just do a sample strip, like cut 1.5 inches and then slightly tear it. That's how I figured it out, is you cut it, you tear it, and if your strip does not stay 1.5 inches and starts going 5 inches, 6 inches, it's like, okay, stop.
Right. You're not cutting.
You're not cutting on the strip. You need to go the opposite direction. And I encountered that based on whoever folded the fabric for me, that it wasn't right. And so I was like, what the heck is happening? I'd get down to like the very end and it'd be like 1/8 of an inch. It just kept going like a pyramid. And I'm like, oh, I just wasted that whole row of fabric. Did I do this right? No, I put 2 of the same. Okay, so let's go to the next one and see what it looks like when we pull these up.
Yeah, she's gonna do a rag bow live video soon.
Yes, I know you guys have asked about that, so I'm going to. I just got to go buy the lace, and so I was like, during the week, I'm thinking of my prepping time. I'm like, was I freaking crazy to come up with doing 3 wreaths in one? Because A, I'm not gonna have enough time to build one on a live, but I want to be able to show you what it looks like.
So to recap really quick, the one behind her on the door is 1.5 inches torn along the bias, and it's 1.5 inches by 8?
9. Oh,
no.
8.
8.
You're right.
And then the blue one.
Where are you going to do the basket weave?
Right.
This one.
Blue one is.
Get that look.
1.5 inches by
9.
9.
Because you need it to make the actual knot.
Right. And then the one she's doing right now is 1.5 inches by 7.
Yes. This is the loop and swoop. Let me make sure. Yes, by 7. Okay, so I'm trying to mix up my patterns so I don't have them laying in the same general direction.
Sharon said your hair looks nice, and Jean asked you if you cut your hair differently. Yes, you did.
I did. I cut it off.
Like 5 inches off.
Yeah, well, it's all like totally short now. So I'm just like tired of the length, and as we get older, our hair gets thinner, and you can't grow it long like you used to be able to, because it just doesn't want to do anything anymore. So yeah, I chopped it all off. Not chopped it.
Yep.
I threw Steve for a loop. I was like, I'm gonna cut it really short, like really super short.
When I was in Texas, but I was like, go for it.
Yeah, I was like, then deep down inside, I was like, he's not really saying that.
So on the on the heart wreath, where you're talking about the loop and swoop.
Loop and swoop. I just call it loop and then your swoop.
Those are the ones where you're kind of folding it in half and then folding it through.
So that when I'm laying it, you're seeing the right side of the fabric, because by folding it in half, I'm taking that wrong side fabric. Nobody wants to see that. We're leaving the fabric the way that you're intending it to be seen.
Yeah, as much as you can.
Exactly.
That's the only one you're folding in half, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other ones you just
tie
them on. Yep. If the wrong side fabric shows, don't worry about it. That's the authenticity of making a rag wreath. It's a rag wreath. It's not meant to be perfect. So I am.
How many yards needed for the one you're doing now for the loop?
The loop and swoop one is a total of 4 yards. So it would depend. To do the heart is 4 yards. I don't know how much it would be to do the circle, because obviously it's going to be bigger. You're not just dealing with 3 rail frames. You're doing a total of 4.
Right.
So you might run into something with a little bit longer. So do what I do. I always err on, always buy more than enough, because I don't want to run out. I'd rather have some leftover extras. So let's see, we need this pattern. And then we'll see what it looks like.
Patty says she believes that it's called a lark's head knot, what you're using.
The loop and swoop?
The loop and swoop, yeah.
Yeah. I knew there was a technical name for it, but I was like, okay. So this is showing you what this look would be like if you went all the way around. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of space in the middle, because this is going to all fan out away. And I mean, it'll still be perfect for storm door, because it's all going to lay flat. It's not going to be overly fluffy. But this is the cool part, is that, you can just kind of peel them back and see what you did. So, and then you just flip them all this way. So yeah, you can, but just keep in mind you're going to have a huge space in the middle.
Yep.
So that's why doing them on the what do you call them, the patterned wire forms, it makes it look nice because if you look at it here, it's keeping that shape all the way around, so you can actually see it's very defined by that. So let me show you guys how to do a hand bow, because I'm going to show you. I haven't even posted this one. This was the one I finished up last night. This is what a mom does when you're stressed. You tie knots and you rip fabric, right? Perfect stress reliever. So this is loop and swoop. So there's your back, so you can see what the back looks like. So if you have these little ones that are not where they need to be, just push them forward to the front. But that's your back of what it looks like. So it's still really pretty.
Yep.
And now we're just going to add a bow to it. So with something a little bit smaller like the hearts, if you use a 2-inch ribbon, it's generally too big. It like eats up a large chunk, because if you look at this one here, these are just using 1.5 inches, and it's perfect to still keep the size and integrity of the shape in place. Doing a big 2.5-inch bow is just going to be like massive on here. So you want to kind of keep it small and delicate. Mm-hmm. So we're doing it with, these are the colors I picked out. So we're going to do this dark blue pattern again. I think this is Craft Outlet. And then I'm going to use this dark blue sheer that's from Hobby Lobby. So these two colors with this mix of blue should look really good. So let me actually open this one.
Yeah, Sharon said that the material looks like it frays great. Mm-hmm. And then she said homespun. And then she said homespun comes in primitive colors and small plaids and squares.
Oh, very cool. So I could see doing something, you know, very country. You can get your gingham fabric and just pick, you know, random colors, or you can pick solids. I like doing small print because it looks nicer. So we're going to dovetail cut our ends, which is simply folding the wired edges together. Put this one over.
Maybe said beautiful. Sandra said, I love the look of the blue fabric, so pretty.
Thank you. You didn't even do it blue jeans. So you're going to cut from the folded side to your point to give yourself that perfect dovetail. So just like that. So I'm going to go with a 6-inch tail. So to do a hand tie, I'm just going to kind of pinch it together and make my loop. Pinch it together again. Remember, hand bows don't have to be perfect. So pinch them together, or just make your loop like we're going to do the half bows, and then twist to get your fabric on the back side. So you're going to make another bow or another loop and pinch it together. And I kind of look at them to make sure
they're even.
They're even, or as close to even as possible. Sometimes I always make my loops a little too, I make one big and one small. I don't know why. I can't judge spatial distance. So twist again so that we can get that pattern back to the outside. So 6 inches. And I'll go ahead and trim that one up when I get it all together. So this one I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to worry about cutting my edges yet. I'm just going to create my bow. So I'm going to put this one here, make my loop.
There was lovely. Sandy said, I want to try a denim jean one so bad.
That would be super cute.
That would be cute.
Just keep in mind, pick a method that is easy to tie, because with that jean material, it's very thick. Yeah. So pick an easy style. So, okay, twist, make my loop. Trying to make sure.
Yeah, that would be cute, Sharon. She said would like to try this on the candy cane wreath the breast cancer ribbon.
Yes.
With pinks. Yeah, that would be cute.
I definitely think you could probably pull that look off. So I'm trying to make sure my loops are the same size. And then I'm going to take my pipe cleaner, fold it in half. You could do it with floral wire. I'm just trying to make this easy to see. And we're going to twist it just like so. Move that one to the side. And then I'm going to go ahead and dovetail and trim up my edges so that it looks finished. So fold it in half from the fold to the wire edge. Okay, that one's going to be, what happened to my thing? It came undone. My loop. I was like, what happened to my loop and why is this so big? My loop came out. So you need to go back in here and twist. There we go. Now I got it. Okay, that one's done.
I think you have one more you need to dovetail, right?
Yeah, I have two. So I have this edge and then the blue. This one here. Just like so. Make sure that looks right. There we go.
Kathy said I bought a case of the candy canes to do the ribbon, but this looks more interesting.
Yeah, I mean you can.
Yeah.
There's nothing that says that you can't start stocking your store for Christmas. So you can decide where you want your bow, whether you want it up at the top, whether you want it in the center, whether you want it off here. I think it looks kind of funky if you hang them down at the bottom for the point.
You can make the bow as big as you want or as small as you want.
I have a tendency of going small because I don't want to take away from my heart shape. So I'm just going to kind of tuck it in here. Lay all this back. And I'm just tying it to the middle rail. So you'll just twist it in there and then you'll just fluff your bow in whatever direction you want. This one's way too long. Clearly. There we go. And there's your hand-tied bow. Just like so. And you can make your tails go whichever way you want. So take this one off. And put this one up. Well, there we go. There you go. Just short, sweet, and simple. Double one, double the other, just like I did on the bottom one here. It's just 2, 2, and tails mixed. When we did it on the heart shaped, I just did the lace and burlap and then just the white satin ribbon on it. So that should pretty much sum up how to do rag wreaths 3 different ways. So remember, when you're putting them out on display for doing a craft fair, bring a hurricane lamp from like Hobby Lobby, you know, and put one inside here. You can do it this way.
Or even like a 10 cake plate or something.
Yep. I'd bring some cupcakes and make them look really pretty and put them in here. But there you go. 3 different types of home decor wreath, centerpiece. When I'm putting them on display in my shop, I'm showcasing all the different ways. On the white one, you could take the bow off. You could tell the customer, look, I'll leave the bow on here so that you can find out how to twist it. If you want to take that bow off, like with the white one, and change it out for Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, spring, sunflowers, and then add different types of things, you can incorporate a whole bunch of different looks.
Kathy said actually it would be way cheaper to do it this way than to buy ribbon and get more.
What do you mean?
Like it'd be cheaper to buy the fabric and do it this way than try to use ribbon, because ribbon's expensive to do.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
But I think they were talking about, oh yeah, doing it this way on the wreath.
Right.
On the candy cane
that
wreath
way on
form.
the candy cane wreath form, right.
It'll be interesting to see how that would go.
Yeah.
Whether it would look better like do a basket weave. Basket weave might look really good on it because it would still keep it thin, not as thick. And then if the customer flipped it over, they would have that really pretty basket weave on the other side. And then just put a bow on it.
Yvonne said this kind of the same thing. On the candy cane wreath, which method would you suggest using? The loop and swoop or
the basket weave?
The basket weave?
Yeah. Because it would take less fabric. Remember, this one is utilizing the least amount of fabric. It's funny because you look at that and think, are you kidding me? That's really that much fabric? But yes, it is, because, let me see. Yeah, I used 1 yard of each. Okay, let me change that because now that I'm thinking about it, when we did the Valentine's Day wreath, I had enough for 2. So with this method on a heart, I would say ½ a yard of fabric if you're going to do 4 colors. So a grand total of 2 yards. That's right.
Gotcha.
Because I was like, wait, I still had a whole bag and I finished another heart-shaped wreath with what I had left. So again, because I didn't know when I was making them, I always make sure I have more than enough fabric. And then that way, if I really like the way it comes out, I have enough for 2. So this is a really good time to purchase like Valentine's Day fabric for next year because it's probably all on sale now. But any of your seasonal fabrics, when they go on sale, buy them for next year so that you have plenty to make rag wreaths for next year when you bought it all on sale. Okay, any other questions you guys have on these 3 methods? You have 3 different ways to make a rag wreath. 2 of them will fit really nice between a storm door. This one's a little bit more full. Like I said, 50 for the smaller, thinner ones, and then 55 for the other one. If you add embellishments, like if you do this in spring fabric and you add Easter eggs or a stuffed bunny, you're gonna have to go higher to recoup your expenses.
And Peggy brought up a good idea too. You could also sell and make seasonal bows separate, like have them there, and then you could do them that match, and you could sell the bows.
And then show people. Right. Yeah. Oh, you know what would be really cute is if you paired it with this bow. Look, you can take this bow off and you can add a spring bow, and look, now it's a spring wreath, and then you can. That's a perfect way to segue into making multiple sales in one. Okay. That's it. Well, that's it. That's the short and sweet of everything. Private group, Sunday. We are making Easter lantern swag. So I'm going to show you how to do an Easter lantern swag. And then book club is Monday. And I'm looking into what we're making. Do you want to grab my calendar off my desk? I'll tell you what we're making next Friday. Do you have a question?
Mary said, great tips. I'll have to watch the replay. And then Audrey asked, you aren't pre-washing your fabric, correct?
This fabric was, I don't know. I actually got this fabric from a friend whose mom, unfortunately, was a huge quilter, but she passed away. And she had tubs and tubs of fabric. And she's like, I know you like to quilt. Do you want the fabric? And I was like, of course, yes. So I can honestly tell you this fabric was not pre-washed. The muslin obviously was not washed because it's still on the bolt. So you could if you want. Okay, so yep, we did rag wreaths. So next Friday we're doing beach wreaths. You know why? Because beach wreaths sell all year round. So every time I list one, they get sold. So we want to always make sure that even though we're focusing on seasonal stuff, that you still keep your store stocked with everyday items, because people who have beach homes are always going to be looking for stuff year round. You could make it seasonal beachy, you know, like if you did the tree toppers. What else did we do? Oh, we made a beach Christmas wreath when we did the beach. You could do your southwestern, you know, stuff, but
driftwood, all that stuff.
Yeah, so always make your everyday wreaths as well. So these will go listing as farmhouse, wedding, anniversary, anything really.
And then Tracy asked, how do you join the private group?
Private group. At the very top of the Cats Creations page, there's a link that tells you all the information you need to join the private group. It's $17 a month, and it gets you 2 business classes right now and 2 wreath tutorials, access to my entire private group library, which is now going on over a year. So all of the stuff I taught everyone last year in private group. Also, just to keep you guys updated, not this Sunday, but next Sunday we're making the rose wreath. So there's a lot of people who've been bugging me and said, can you please show us how to make the rose, like the big huge rose deco mesh? We are actually teaching that in the private group. So if you guys want to join, go to the top of my page under announcements. There's a big flyer of join the private group. I'll teach you how to sell and then how to make stuff. So simple, quick link, click on that. Sign up, it's on a reoccurring payment, and then once you do that, go to the Cats Creations private group page on Facebook and request to join and put in your email address. And that's it. Simple, short, and sweet. Anything else?
That's it.
Last minute questions for anyone.
Oh, Sharon actually said she's doing a show on March 2nd. It's going to be a beach.
Oh, beach theme?
Yep.
So you need to have some beach stuff out there. Yep. So this would be wonderful to do a nice rag wreath with some, I would do it in beachy colors, like the white seafoam green, some beiges like surf, sand, and sky. Yeah. And then bring a really nice candle, add a little bow, maybe tie in some seashells or a little starfish, and that would be perfect.
Oh, thanks, gals. Sharon said the private group is wonderful. Kathy said I love the private group.
It's like our home away from home. It's like a crafter's home online.
Yep.
So, okay, perfect. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. You could message me. I respond to messages better than comments because comments can become busy. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want more videos, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel because all the Friday Night Live videos we upload on YouTube. And I think that's it. And if you guys are interested in my private group, go to the Facebook page. If you're watching this on YouTube, facebook.com/KatsCreations. Go to the top and you'll find all the information about the private group. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Private group, I'll see you Sunday at 5. And bring all your Easter stuff to make some Eastern lantern swags. I'll talk to you guys then. Bye-bye.